The toys from our childhood are so beloved that toy companies are still reissuing some of the all-time greats. And most recently, Playmates Toys has just put back out one of the greatest playsets to come out of the 1990s, the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Sewer playset. But will this new version of the Sewer playset be just as loved as that original release? Or will it be flushed down the toilet with disappointment? Hey guys, I am Pixel Dan, and today we're going to be taking a look at the brand new TMNT Sewer playset reissue from Playmates Toys. This particular playset has been brought back out in 2025, exclusive to Amazon, retailing for $75. This is one of the coolest playsets to come out of the 90s. It was an absolute favorite of mine as a kid playing with my original Ninja Turtles, and we've already seen Playmates attempt to reissue other beloved playsets such as the Technodrome with mixed reactions, at least from me. So how is the Sewer Home gonna live up to what came before it? Well, I can tell you that right here on the box, they even put a big blurb on there letting you know that while the box is smaller, the playset inside is exactly the same size as the one you remember from your childhood. This is no doubt something that's being called out directly on the box because the Technodrome was much smaller than the original release, and I think that's probably been the biggest point of criticism on the Technodrome's release. I know it's one of the things that I didn't like about the modern Technodrome, so they did shrink this particular box down, but they're saying the playset inside is 1-to-1 with the vintage one, which on one hand, I think that's great. That's a great move for Playmates, but it does beg the question, why'd they shrink the Technodrome? What was that all about? Anyway, this video is about the Sewer Home playset, and we're gonna open this up, we're gonna put it together, we're gonna look it over, but we're also gonna compare it with the vintage one, and we're gonna see if those pipes match up with both the vintage and the modern versions of the Technodrome, just to see how this thing is gonna work with everything so that you know what to expect if this is something that you are planning on purchasing. So first of all, we do gotta talk about that amazing box art there. Always love seeing really cool artwork on these vintage packages. This is a smaller box, as was noted, but I mean, come on, there's some great nostalgic feels going on there. And then we do have some brand new photography on the side of the box of this modern toy, which is nice to see. And same thing on the back. It's all new product shots, so they didn't recycle the shots from the vintage box. That's another way that this package stands out from the old one. Don't worry, you're not gonna confuse in-box Sewer Home with vintage Sewer Home. But you know, we've got modern shots on the box there to show you what's inside. Speaking of what's inside, we're gonna pop this bad boy open right now. Tape to cut right there. Here's the fun part of this whole thing. Assembly is required. Just like the original one, of course, but all of the pieces, looks like they come individually bagged. We got the telephone poles on some twisty ties here. Oh, here we go. What we all love, an entire sheet of stickers that we're gonna need to assemble, and there's a sheet of instructions that will help guide you through the process. Yeah, look at all these parts. There is a lot to build here. So that is my next step. I'm gonna spend some time getting all of this put together. I'm gonna get all of the stickers put on here, and then we're gonna check out the brand new version of the Sewer Lair. And here it is, the fully assembled Sewer Lair playset. And yeah, man, this thing looks just like the original one from when I was a kid. Size-wise, it definitely feels to be 1-to-1. And we'll compare the two a little bit later on just to be sure. But just so you guys can see, with the measurements here. From the edges of the sewer itself, you're looking at about 19 inches in length. If we include the green pipe all the way to the end there, that's about 26 inches in length. Then from the bottom of the sewer just to the surface, you're talking 8.5 inches, but if we go all the way up to the top of the telephone pole, that's about 20.5 inches tall. So really good size going on here. And this thing looks great. There are so many stickers to put on this thing, and it took a lot longer than I wanted it to. Some of the stickers are already on there, but there's a lot of little stickers that you are gonna need to put on there. So that's just something to just be ready for. You're gonna be putting on a lot of stickers. The assembly was very intuitive for the playset itself. There's instructions to guide you through, but essentially you're just building these boxes one wall at a time. You're popping the top on. If you had this thing as a kid, it's like gonna be second nature to you. Like your brain is just gonna go, oh yeah, I remember this, and you're gonna put the whole thing together. Now, as far as how this thing feels, it absolutely has that modern day plastic feel to it. It does not feel the same as the vintage. It might even be lighter weight than the vintage one. In fact, yeah, it's definitely lighter weight than the vintage one. And it has a little bit of that flex to it. You're gonna notice that when you're building it, like some of these walls are gonna bend a little bit, but really when it's all built together, like these boxes are pretty stable. You might notice some spots like right here where it wasn't totally clipped into place, but it really does seem to kind of snap together really well and hold. So it feels solid still. There's just a difference in the overall quality feel of the plastic. Now, while I will say that for the most part, this is built the same way as the vintage one, I noticed a few little things that I might even consider to be improvements. Like, for example, I'm gonna spin this around to the back side. This fence right here on the top on the original toy was cardboard. It was just a piece of cardboard that stuck in the slot. On this new one, this is plastic. They actually made a plastic fence piece and used a sticker on there for the plank boards and the posters and everything, and I think that's a big improvement. One of the other things I noticed is that even the way this thing assembles together, like the two halves right here, they added these extra little notches up here at the top of the smaller piece. So it's not just connecting by this little piece on the bottom. That makes it lock a little bit more stable. So you still attach that bottom, and then you can actually snap this together so it holds together a little bit more firm. And I've noticed that in a couple places where it seems like they tried to improve the way some of these pieces connected together so that it held together just a little bit more solid. Because even the vintage toy, like the plastic was harder and had a bit more of that glossier look to it. But I do remember this thing like coming apart pretty easy. Like we took the sewer layer apart, me and my brother playing with this as a kid. It fell apart a lot. Carrying it around always meant splitting these two pieces in half because they were gonna fall apart. But this actually does feel a little bit more stable on this one. So that is pretty cool. I think that is a really nice little adjustment there. All of the details are pretty cool. A lot of these stickers I do believe are just duplicated from the original toy, but you're gonna look on the inside down here and you're gonna see all kinds of fun little details. So they've included a lot of those fun little stickers and details, and all the way around the playset you're gonna see things like lost dog posters, all kinds of fun little bumper stickers, I Heart Turtles, there's stuff for concerts, there's Uncle Shredder Wants You, there's all kinds of fun little things like that that you're gonna see stuck all over the place here. Otherwise, I mean, if you had this as a kid, it's a lot like what you had back then. And if it's something that you always wanted, I think you're going to enjoy this. Oh, another improvement, this piece up here, the blue barricades, the way that this all fits together locks in place so much tighter than it did on the vintage one. These things always fell off. They always got lost. So these things really hold into place very well. The elevator operates the same. You have the little handle over here on the side. You do kind of have to hold the sewer in place, but you can get the elevator to move up and down. Of course, you've got the little periscope there with the fire hydrant, lots of those features that you remember, and you even still get the little yellow spike ball that, you know, you can drop down in the sewer up here and it'll come rolling right off my table out there somewhere, so that I'll have to go find it in just a little bit. So scale-wise, of course, since this is 1-to-1 with the vintage, as you can expect, this fits in perfect with your vintage Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles action figures, but I think another thing that folks are gonna like about this, or that they've probably already got in mind, is to use this to display those new remastered figures that are also out. And as you can see, while those stand a little bit taller than the vintage toys, I think they're gonna work in just fine with this particular playset right here. So all of the turtles are hanging out in the sewer. Donatello spies something up top in his periscope. Oh no, it's Shredder with this yellow spike ball thing. And it looks like he's gonna drop it down into the sewers. Oh, it bounced right off of Raphael. Good thing he's got a turtle shell. Now Leonardo's gonna take the elevator up to the surface because it's time to battle the evil Shredder. But what's this? Leonardo is gonna climb up to the top and grab onto this telephone pole wire. Shredder is popping up here just to see what's going on. He better watch out. Here comes Leo. Cowabunga! And there you go, that's a perfect demonstration of the play features with the Sewer Lair playset. And it's fun, man. This is a fun toy. I had a lot of fun playing with this as a kid. A few things that I want to talk about on here real quick. First of all, with the elevator, one of the things I thought was really cool, I wanna see if I can pop this elevator piece off of here real quick. So you'll notice that on the elevator, there are two different size pegs on there for the turtle's feet. Over here on the left, we've got a larger peg. Over on the right, we've got a skinnier peg. This is to fit either your vintage figures or your modern Turtles figures, because the modern Turtles have much larger peg holes in the bottom of their feet. In fact, even the reissue vintage figures, which is actually what this is right here, has those larger peg holes as well. But if you want to use this with your vintage figures, it's nice to see that Playmates incorporated a way for both of those styles to fit onto this elevator. With the elevator removed, I do want to talk about the bed that is in here. You can see Michelangelo is lounging on the bed. This right here is a little loose on this. While a lot of this playset feels like they did a good job of trying to fix some of the things from the vintage where the pieces don't fall off as easy, this actually feels worse on this one because this is very loose. You can see how it's kind of flopping around, and it's actually really easy to just knock it right off the wall whenever you're trying to get a figure on there. Now, I don't know if I'm just not locking this into place good enough or if mine is just unfortunate. It has the same little hole at the top, and there's a peg right above that this clips onto, but it definitely has little clips on either side on this wall where it looks like this should be locking in a little more solid, but I just can't get it to really do that on mine. It seems like no matter how I place it in there, it stays on the wall, but it is always a little bit loose. So again, I don't know if that's gonna be a widespread issue or if that is just with mine. But I will say that really feels like the only place that I seem to have an issue like that. The rest of this thing seems pretty good. Feels a little different than the vintage, but it holds together, it looks nice. Totally gonna fit in if you're just looking for a cool Sewer Lair playset, especially if you want one that kids can play with. All right, guys, it's comparison time. This is gonna be the tricky part because I wanna be able to get both of these up here. So I'm actually gonna remove this pipe from my vintage Sewer Lair so that you can see these two side by side. I'll try to get them both on camera the best I can here. But yes, as you can see, these things appear to be 1-to-1 with each other. They are the same size. My vintage one is not complete, and it's a little discolored. Please don't judge me too hard on that. But here they are side by side, so you can see both of them. So here's what I was talking about, like look on the vintage one. This is a piece of cardboard. That's just cardboard, and this time it's plastic with stickers, yet they still managed to capture that same design on there. Here's the other thing that I was talking about, where this section here does not have those extra little notches that plugs in and locks in a little more firmly, boom, like it does on the new one. Like, that's actually kind of a chore to get back on there, but the new one actually does hold on a little bit more solidly. So there are definitely upsides to the new one versus the old one. The old one is still much heavier. It actually feels much heftier than the new one. The new one is lighter weight. It's that modern plastic, but still, I mean, they are very comparable play sets for sure. So this is something else I wanted to try while we got these two together. This is a vintage sewer tube. This is the modern sewer tube, and they fit together perfectly. Look at that. It's just the right size. They're holding together. So that means this should plug in perfectly with the Technodrome. Okay, so first of all, if you don't know what I'm talking about every time I mention the Technodrome, the original had a play feature where these sewer tubes could connect to the Technodrome to basically combine the two play sets together via this door right here. This is the modern Technodrome. This is the smaller, recent re-release. So here's how you can see these two things compared together. So let's try this out. Is this port the same size as these new sewer tubes? Well, yes it is. Look at that. It combines together perfectly, which means this should link up just fine with the vintage Technodrome as well. Okay, so this is the vintage Technodrome, which is bigger than this new modern one. So let's get the modern one out of the way. Boop, boop. And now we're gonna drive this vintage one over here. Same thing, you can open this port door over here, and yeah, there it is. Took a little bit more work, but it does fit. And so you can link up the vintage Technodrome with this new modern reissue of the sewer home. So there you guys go. There is my look at the brand new Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle sewer layer from Playmates Toys. Final thoughts, it's a totally fine recreation of that vintage playset. In fact, I think they did better on this than they did on this, the Technodrome, the one that the eyeball doesn't stay on. You can watch my other review for that whole thing. I do think that sizing it up to be 1-to-1 with the vintage scale was a very smart move. I also think there are some nice improvements here. However, there are a few things that are not as good as the vintage. Plastic feel isn't as good. The bed doesn't seem to stay attached on the inside, but all in all, if you're looking for something for your kids to play with, this is perfect. If you're just wanting to have a sewer home in your collection, you had it as a kid, you want it again, you don't have a vintage one, this is totally fine for that. $75 is the price point on it. It is Amazon exclusive, but it is in stock, easy to buy right now as of the filming of this video. I will say, like, a vintage one isn't that much more expensive. However, getting it complete can get expensive. So, of course, and you saw mine is kind of yellowy too, which is unfortunately a thing with this vintage plastic. My Technodrome's kind of like that as well. So you just need to weigh the pros and cons for yourself and decide what you think is better for your collection. Let me know down in the comments what you guys think. Have you picked this up? Do you like it? Do you like it better than the old one? Do you prefer the old one? Let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching, and until next time.